Islamist extremists and the far right feed off and embolden each other. They are equally desperate to pretend that their violence is somehow justified, when actually these groups are two sides of the same extremist coin. Neither group, except that change in our country can only come through the peaceful democratic process. Both loathe the pluralist modern country we are.
This is my video update on this Saturday afternoon, March the 2nd. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Sunak's meltdown. What happened to Rishi Sunak yesterday? My God. Wow. Jeez. George Galloway wins an election and you have a meltdown over that? Wow. Wow, did he have a meltdown? Because George Galloway won the by-election in the UK. My God, did Rishi Sunak have a meltdown? He comes out of 10 Downing Street and he calls an emergency meeting and an emergency press conference. And man, did he have a meltdown just because George Galloway won an election? Wow. Wow. So yeah, Rishi Sunak's like, our democracy is under attack, says the unelected prime minister. Can't make this stuff up, man. You cannot make this stuff up. Clown world, man. Clown world. So yeah, he's like, our democracy is under attack. He said Islamist extremists and the far right are two sides of the same extremist coin. And then he points to the election that George Galloway had just won. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So look, take a step back and think about this for a second. One guy who is not part of the Uniparty wins an election, and the Prime Minister of the UK has to call an emergency meeting and an emergency press conference and announce that democracy is under attack. One guy won an election that's not part of the Uniparty. It's just one guy. That's how afraid and threatened they are of one man who will be able to go to Parliament and speak truth to power. That's how afraid they are of the narrative coming undone. Unbelievable freak out. So Sky News, the powers that be, they sent out the Sky News reporter to go interview Galloway and to try and scare him, to try and put some fear into him, to try and lower him and diminish him, and then to try and build up Rishi Sunak after the meltdown press conference that he gave. And man, did Galloway just demolish this reporter. I mean, demolish this reporter. And he demolished Sunak as well. This was a coordinated hit. You know that the Sunak administration, they called up Sky News and they said, okay, the press conference is done. Now send your reporter to interview Galloway and try to scare him and to lower him, to knock him down a couple of pegs. And Galloway was not having any of it. He actually called Rishi Sunak, as the reporter was giving him these really dumb questions, like really stupid questions, like we interviewed people on the street. This is what the reporter was telling Galloway. This is how dumb the questions were from him. We interviewed people on the street and they're afraid of you. And Galloway's like, dude, I just won the election. He's like, I thumped all of the other candidates. Labour, Tories. He says, I beat them all by a lot. He says, I was elected. What are you talking about? you interviewed some guy on the street and some guy on the street told you that they don't like me. He's like, what are you talking about? I mean, go see the video. Go see the video. It is hilarious. It's beautiful, but it's also hilarious because Galloway completely destroys this reporter. And and during the interview, the reporter's like trying to make it as if Rishi Sunak is very upset, and Galloway should be very afraid because Rishi Sunak is very upset, and he's saying democracy is under attack, and Islamists and far right and blah blah blah, whatever, this whole extremist narrative that Sunak was trying to put out there, which made no sense. But he's trying to scare Galloway, and Galloway's like, dude, you think I'm afraid of little Rishi Sunak? He called him little Rishi Sunak, like little Marco Rubio. He's like little Rishi Sunak. I'm taking that one. I'm taking that nickname, little Rishi Sunak. And, and Galloway's like, you're making it seem like Sunak's Moses or something, and I should like bow down in fear. He's like, I'm not afraid of Sunak. Oh boy. Oh my God. Anyway, all right. Check out the video. Check out Sunak's meltdown to the media. Check out the Sky News interview with Galloway. It's all over the interwebs. Just panic from the establishment because of one election, of one person who's going to go against their propaganda and their narrative, and this is the type of panic that you get. What's going to happen when Trump wins the elections in November? If Trump wins the elections in November, my God. I know why Sunak was panicking. I know exactly why Sunak is on edge. I'll tell you why. Because it's been a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, since he's gotten a whiff of that Zelensky number 5, and it's driving Sunak crazy. You know, he's at 10 Downing Street, and he's pacing back and forth. You know, up all night, pacing back and forth. I need a whiff of that Zelensky number 5. I need a whiff of that Zelensky number 5. Knock on the door. Knock, knock. Mr. Prime Minister. Yes. What do you want? We got some news. Galloway just won the by-election. What? Galloway won the election. Nothing is going right. Damn it. Nothing is going right. That's it. Call an emergency meeting. Call the media. And democracy is under attack. I need some Zelensky number 5. It's intoxicating. That's why he's addicted. He's addicted to Zelensky number 5. Anyway, let's move on now. Let's move on and let's discuss. So much news happened yesterday, huh? Let's discuss the Le Monde article that came out, which discusses Macron's idea to send the French military into Ukraine in order to fight the Russians. And Le Monde, they actually claim that Macron is trying to send a small contingent of French troops into Ukraine in order to act as, quote, a deterrent and to create a strategic dilemma for Russia. In other words, a tripwire. Macron is thinking of sending French troops into Ukraine in order to act as a tripwire, in order for them to, this is what Le Monde is not saying, but this is what the plan is. If you go by what Le Monde is reporting, Macron is thinking of sending a small contingent of the French military into Ukraine. He's expecting those troops to come under attack by the Russian military, and he will use that as a reason to try and draw in NATO, most importantly, the United States. That's what Le Monde is reporting. Of course, they dress it up in a different way. They don't say tripwire and stuff like that. But we know what Macron is planning to do. That's exactly what he's thinking. Send in a small force, and hopefully the Russians will attack them, and then we can get the ball rolling for World War III. And this is not like mercenaries or French military with Ukraine military uniforms and patches and stuff like that. He wants to send the French military with the French flag so that he can create this tripwire. The article says that this group of French soldiers will go to Ukraine to help provide assistance and to help them operate air defenses and stuff like that. But what it's really about is to create the conditions for them to be attacked and for him to escalate and draw in the United States and get to a WW3 scenario. The training France would like to provide to Ukrainians on the ground includes handling air defense systems. Friday's report said from Le Monde, Kiev's surface-to-air weapons installations are frequently targeted by Russian forces, it explained, adding that the pressure of French soldiers or those of other nations would potentially protect certain areas of the Ukrainian territory. The French government allegedly views such a troop deployment as a way of posing a strategic dilemma for Moscow, the paper said, adding that it could constrain Russia's targeting and strike capabilities. In particular, it may prove to be essential ahead of the arrival of US-made F-16 fighter jets scheduled to take place later this year, the French daily added. To constrain Russia's targeting and strike capabilities, posing a strategic dilemma to the Russians. Do we strike these French forces and risk NATO, US entering the conflict in World War III, or do we allow them to operate freely in Ukraine, which would then lead to more troops from the collective West pouring into Ukraine? You see where Macron is trying to move the chess pieces. Macron is a master chess player. He's a master chess player, isn't he? What a master buffoon. So anyway, that is what Le Monde is reporting. By the way, Le Monde also says that France has denied claims that they have troops in Ukraine. They have zero troops operating in Ukraine, according to Le Monde. And if you believe that, well, I've got a bus that I could sell you. Anyway, we have the while this report is coming out, this article is coming out from Le Monde, we have a statement from the new French foreign minister where he is saying that there will be no French troops sent to Ukraine. The new French foreign minister said that France does not want war with Russia. He said, and I quote, "Everything we do is to avoid war, and the French will not die for Ukraine." He also said that the framework set by Macron envisaged preventing Russia from winning without waging a war against Russia. So that is what the new foreign minister, Séjourné, said. So no war with Russia, according to the foreign ministry of France, and the French will not die for Ukraine. And Macron's plan, his plan is to prevent Russia from winning while not waging war against Russia. And there was a report on French TV yesterday which is saying that France is faced with an acute shortage of gunpowder necessary for the production of large caliber missiles for the Ukrainian army. So So while all of this is going down, all of this talk about France fighting Russia, and then the foreign ministry saying, no, we're not going to fight Russia, we get a report saying that, yeah, France is short of gunpowder, short of weapons, but they're going to go into Ukraine. Macron's going to send them into Ukraine and escalate into an all-out conflict with Russia. All right. The reason that the foreign ministry came out with this statement, I believe the reason they came out with the statement is because Le Figaro, they ran a poll the other day following up on Macron's statement of France getting involved in the conflict in Ukraine, and they asked French citizens their thoughts on NATO, France going to war with Russia, getting involved in Ukraine, and 68% of the people polled said they do not approve of France or NATO coming into direct conflict with Russia, and 31% were in favor. Find me these 31% of the people polled by Le Figaro who are actually in favor of France, NATO going to war with Russia. Who are these people? Where are these people? We need to help these people. Anyway, let's get moving to our big story, and I think this one is our big story for the day. And I talked about this yesterday briefly in my video updates. It is the audio recording that Margarita Simonian, the editor-in-chief of RT, that she said she had in her possession, which is an audio recording of German military officials, very high-ranking military officials, talking about sending Taurus missiles to Ukraine and blowing up the Kerch Bridge, the bridge in Crimea. And yesterday when I did my video, this was just a statement that Margarita Simonian had put out there, a post that she put on social media claiming that she had this audio. And a couple of hours after I did my video, the audio dropped. And it is legit. It is legit. It's about 38 minutes long as well. And it is, I think, four German military officials. And yeah, they're talking about, well, they're talking about a lot of things, but one of the main topics that they're discussing is getting the Taurus missiles to Ukraine and figuring out how they can blow up the Kerch Bridge, the bridge in Crimea, without making it look like they're the ones that helped the Ukraine military blow up the bridge in Crimea. Plausible, what is it? Plausible accountability, plausible deniability, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much what these guys were talking about. Unbelievable stuff. Unfreaking believable. And yeah, it's legit. It's been confirmed. Spiegel confirmed it. German publication Welt confirmed it. Quote, the recording is classified as authentic, German media said. Bild, they tried to come out with an article and say this was Russian propaganda. Like when the audio dropped, Bild right away, they put out an article and say this is Russian disinformation. And these German military officials were not talking about helping Ukraine to blow up the bridge in Crimea. They were just, talking generalities, just talking about the Taurus missile and the Taurus missile's capabilities. And no, that was completely debunked. This whole Russian disinformation thing about what these officials were talking about was blown apart. Everyone heard the audio. Everyone understood exactly what these guys were talking about. Transcripts were created and they were put up on the interweb so everyone could read exactly what these guys were talking about. There is no freaking denying it. And then Spiegel and Welt, they came out and they said, look, this audio is authentic. This is authentic. And that was it. That was it. Everyone understood what is going on here. Wow, unbelievable stuff. And then the German intel agencies, they sprung into action, and they started to try and scrape whatever posts about this conversation were on social media and on the interwebs, and they were trying to block any information about this audio from reaching the German public. So yeah, it was bad. It is bad. It is very, very bad. And Lavrov, he was asked to comment on this audio, and I think he just summed it up perfectly. He said, on the one hand, it's incredible, but on the other hand, it's not. I don't know how else to say it, but now they've been caught in the act. That's exactly right. On the one hand, you listen to the audio or you read the transcript and you're like, wow, this is incredible stuff. And then on the other hand, you're like, I'm not really surprised. It has that feeling to it. I knew they were always operating in Ukraine. I knew that Germany and France and the US and the UK, I knew from the very beginning that they're there, and that's what you're saying to yourself. And then you're also thinking, as you're listening to the audio or reading the transcript, you're also like, this is incredible. So I think Lavrov summed it up perfectly. RT editor-in-chief Margarita Simonian first published this transcript of the conversation between senior Luftwaffe officers discussing the matter, followed by a 38-minute audio recording. Quote, we are checking whether communications within the Air Force were intercepted, a spokesperson from the German Ministry of Defense told the outlet Bild. We cannot say anything about the content of the communications that were apparently intercepted. The Federal Office for Military Counterintelligence, BAMAD, has initiated all necessary measures, the ministry said in response to an inquiry from the state news agency DPA. Meanwhile, the Bundeswehr has also resorted to censorship. Multiple accounts on X, formerly Twitter, that distributed the recording were blocked in Germany as of Friday evening. Bild claimed that it seems obvious Russian spies or one of their partners were behind the recording. The 38-minute audio was dated February 19th and features 4 officers of the German Air Force, including its head, General Ingo Gerhards, and Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, Brigadier General Frank Graf. The officers assumed that Germany would send up to 50 Taurus long-range missiles to Ukraine, and the ways in which the Luftwaffe could provide the Ukrainians with targeting information without appearing to be directly involved in the conflict with Russia. They also noted the Ukrainians' obsession with targeting the Kerch Bridge, noting its significance was primarily political rather than military. At one point, Gerhards admitted that the missiles won't change the course of the war, while another officer expressed doubt that even 20 Taurus hits could actually destroy the bridge. That is the part, in my opinion, of the audio that is most shocking or most damning for Germany, is the fact that these military commanders know that this is not going to change the trajectory of the war. It's not going to make a difference with regards to the actual military conflict, and they understand that this is going to be a political hit. Taking out the Kerch Bridge has nothing to do with the war. It has to do with damaging the Russian government and terrorizing civilians. That's basically what they're saying. That's the part to me that was the most shocking. And these guys understand it. They know it. They say it. But yet they're like 20 missiles. It'll take 20, maybe more. It's going to need a lot of Taurus missiles to destroy the bridge, and they just go on and on about destroying the bridge, knowing that this is not a military target. They know this is not a military target. Russia's super upset, obviously. They're demanding answers from Berlin. Scholz has yet to comment on this. So, the logical, I guess the simple explanation is that this was an intercepted audio by Russian intel. That's the scenario that makes the most sense. Russian intel, secret services, whatever. They managed to intercept this audio, and then they gave it to Margarita Simoyan, and she did the rest. So I think that's the most plausible scenario. But let me provide a different scenario here as to what may be going on. And this is a little bit going down the rabbit hole a bit, but let's talk about it. Let's look at the timeline of events over the past week. Okay? We have Macron at this event in Paris. Olaf Scholz is there. And Macron says it's time for France, for NATO, for the collective West to send troops into Ukraine. Not covert, but military. No mercenaries, nothing like that. It's time for us to get involved, to come out in the open and say we're going to go into Ukraine. Our military is going to engage with the Russians because we cannot let Russia win. Under no circumstances can Russia win. Under any circumstances can Russia win. Right? So Macron comes out and says it. Politico puts out an article the next day, and they say that Scholz and Macron are fighting because Scholz wants to escalate, because Macron wants to escalate, and Scholz doesn't want to escalate. And a lot of this has to do with the Taurus missiles. Macron is trying to put pressure on Scholz to send the German Taurus missiles to Ukraine. Scholz is playing it like he doesn't want to send the Taurus missiles because this would be a huge escalation. There are rumors that the Taurus missiles are already in Ukraine and they're sitting in a warehouse, but for political reasons, Scholz cannot announce this. He doesn't want to announce this. He's afraid to announce that the Taurus missiles are in Ukraine. These are rumors, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Scholz is playing it like, I don't want to send the Taurus missiles. No way, this is too much of an escalation. This is getting too dangerous. And Macron is like, dude, get some cojones and let's go to war with Russia. Meanwhile, Scholz is going to Macron and saying, you know what, Macron? Germany, as far as Europe goes, we've sent the most money to Ukraine. You guys are like way down on the list, so why don't you start putting your money where your mouth is? So they're in this big fight, right? And Scholz is getting all kinds of pressure from Macron, from the UK, from the neocons in the US, to green light the Taurus missiles. And so Macron is under all this pressure. He's been humiliated in Paris by Macron. The UK is coming down hard on him. And we get the Telegraph putting out a report saying that, reporting actually, not even saying, reporting Scholz's statement where he says that the UK military is operating in Ukraine. The UK and the French military, he said the UK and the French military, they're in Ukraine and they help the Ukraine military launch Storm Shadow and Scalp missiles. So that's what the Telegraph reported. And the UK is furious with Scholz. How could you reveal that we are involved in Ukraine, that we have our military in Ukraine, or we're helping the Ukrainians target and launch Storm Shadow missiles, and the French are launching the Scalp missiles, or helping the Ukrainians launch the Scalp missiles, and they're furious with Scholz. Absolutely furious with him. So what happens yesterday? We get this audio leak, which shows that Germany is trying to help Ukraine take out the Kerch Bridge. So maybe, just maybe, this wasn't Russian intel or Russian intercept that got this audio. What if this was UK, MI6, or French intel that leaked this to Russian intel, and this is payback for what Scholz said the other day about UK and French military working with the Ukraine military to launch Storm Shadow and Scout missiles against Russia. What if that's what happened? Possibly. Yeah. Why not? Why not? Anyway, that's just a thought that I have. Payback for Scholz's statement about the UK and the French. So we'll leak a little information about the Germans, Scholz. It's interesting, huh? All right, let's see how we're doing on time. All right, we're all right on time. Let's do a couple more stories and we'll get to our clown world. Bloomberg is reporting that the Biden White House, they have set a date for the seizing. Freeze, not seize. No, seize, not freeze, as Ursula said. Seize, not freeze of the Russian frozen assets. And that date is June, right before the G7 meeting. And the Biden White House, they are pressuring their European colleagues to get with the program and find a way to steal those Russian assets by June. Find the legal loophole and the justification to get those Russian assets. That is what Bloomberg is reporting. The UK and Canada, they're on board with the Biden White House. They want to seize these Russian frozen assets. But France and Germany and the Europeans, they understand that the bulk of these assets are in Europe. And if they steal these assets, well, Europe's financial system is kaput. And so they're putting up a bit of resistance, actually quite a lot of resistance. But now we have a deadline from the Biden White House. It is June, right before the G7 meeting. And I will say this, when those assets are stolen, that's when you know that Project Ukraine is over. That's when you know that the US and the globalist political elite class and the permanent state and all these guys, that's when you know that they're done with Project Ukraine. When they get this 300 billion, that's when you know that they're out. They're going to get this 300 billion. They're going to close whatever accounts they have open. And that's it. Project Ukraine for them is over. That's my thought on these frozen assets. RFK Jr., he was speaking, I believe, to CNBC. And he said that that the U.S. blew up Nord Stream, and he's right. So the person that was interviewing him, I don't know who this journalist was or is, but this journalist tried to say that, well, we don't really know who blew up Nord Stream, and RFK Jr. was like, he was not going to have any of that stuff. He was like, dude, come on, man. He's like, who are you trying to fool? We don't know who blew up Nord Stream. So he said, we blew up Nord Stream pipeline. We deindustrialized Germany. What are we doing in Ukraine? Let's make peace over there and let's get Russia back into Europe so we can reindustrialize Germany. And then he said, so we can keep the energy resources, the gas and the oil of the United States. He says, so we can keep the gas and the oil in the United States and not send it to Europe. He's like, we need that gas, we need that oil in the US so our industries can have a competitive advantage and so our industries can grow and can thrive. And he's right, because what's happening is that the gas is being sent to Europe at a huge cost to the Europeans, 4, 5, 6x what they were getting the LNG from Russia for. But he's like, we should keep this gas and this oil in the United States for our industry. This CNBC guy's like, we don't know who blew up Nord Stream. We really don't know who blew up Nord Stream. Maybe it's the same guys that were talking about destroying the Kerch Bridge. I don't know. Maybe those are the guys that were involved in Nord Stream. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we should ask them. Maybe there's an audio recording somewhere out there of some German German or US or UK generals talking about Nord Stream. Maybe there's an audio somewhere floating around the ethers, the interwebs. I don't know. Zaluzhny did it. That's what the BBC wanted to tell us. Zaluzhny, the Andromeda. Whatever happened to the Andromeda? Poland? Poland was involved. Whatever happened to all that stuff? So let's do a clown world, and we'll wrap this video up. And let's start off with Biden hosting Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy. And Biden said that when Giorgia came into the Oval Office, he was thinking of the Ray Charles song, Georgia on My Mind. Actually, I think they even played that song as she made her way to the Oval Office. Let's see. Biden opens his meeting with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. I played Ray Charles, Georgia, as she walked in the door, said Biden.
Well, Prime Minister Meloni, thank you for being here again. And I have to admit to you, as she walked in the door, we're good friends, and I played Ray Charles, Georgia, as she walked in the door. Now, most of you don't know Ray Charles, Georgia, but anyway, look,
Man, that is cringe, man. That is so creepy. That is so cringe and so creepy. Anyway, that's what Biden said as Giorgia Meloni was sitting next to him. And as Giorgia Meloni was sitting next to Biden, Biden announced that the U.S. will be conducting an airdrop in Ukraine. In Ukraine, everyone's looking at Biden saying, what? You're going to airdrop like humanitarian aid in Ukraine? And that's what Biden said. In the coming days, we are going to join with our friends in Jordan and others in providing airdrops of additional food and supplies into Ukraine, and seek to continue to open up other avenues into Ukraine, including the possibility of a marine corridor to deliver large amounts of humanitarian assistance, Biden said.
in the coming days, we're going to join with our friends in Jordan and others in providing airdrops of additional food and supplies into Ukraine.
Airdrop food and supplies into Ukraine? What are you talking about, President Biden?
And when the president said we were airdropping to Ukraine twice, he meant Gaza, correct? He just misspoke.
He was referring to Gaza.
Let's see, what else? Hillary Clinton, she is going to be a professor at Columbia University. This was announced yesterday, I guess. I saw it on Twitter, so maybe it was announced yesterday. Hillary Clinton to become professor at Columbia University. And there's a whole bunch of replies to this announcement. And they're trying to figure out what she's going to be teaching at Columbia University. And to be quite honest, I can't say any of these, of the syllabus of what she will be teaching, because I would probably be targeted by the Clintons if I said some of the stuff that everyone on Twitter is speculating Hillary Clinton is going to be teaching at Columbia. But I think you guys get the point. It's pretty funny stuff. Go look for it on Twitter, and you'll get a good laugh as to what Hillary Clinton's syllabus is going to be while at Columbia. And do we have time for one more? Yeah, I can do one more. Clown world here. Miss Ukraine. Miss Europe 2024. Miss Ukraine is very upset because I think Russia won this beauty pageant, Miss Europe 2024. The winner of the Miss Europe 2024 beauty pageant, Russian national Rosa Gadieva, has been accused of buying her way to victory by an outraged Ukrainian contestant who claimed she herself was being bullied. During the competition, which took place in Lebanon last month, Miss Ukraine Melena Melnichuk made a number of posts on her Instagram account accusing Gadieva, as well as the organizers of the event, of intentionally provoking her. Melnichuk claims she was forced to take pictures together with the Russian contestant, oh no, threatened and even made to wear similar dresses. Oh my God, she was made to wear similar dresses and she had to take a picture with the Russian contestant. Say it ain't so. After Gadieva took first place, Melnichuk accused the Russian national of paying off the judges for her victory, while she herself did not receive any prizes and did not make the top 3. Sounds like someone is a sore loser. However, Miss Belarus, Irina Maximovich, who took third place in the competition, decided to stand up for the Russian contestant during a bus ride. After the award ceremony, Maximovich lashed out at Melnichuk for her Instagram posts and the accusations she had leveled against the other contestants. After the altercation, Melnichuk posted again, claiming that the Russian and Belarusian contestants had bought their placings for 20,000 euros and 5,000 euros, respectively. Oh boy. In an interview after the award ceremony, Gadieva, who is from Russia's Republic of Tatarstan, admitted that some people just didn't like that I am from Russia. Some didn't even want to stand next to me on stage, but I did not react to this in any way and didn't enter into any altercations. Maybe that became a factor in my victory. Gadieva, who has 2 children, speaks Arabic and English, and is a linguist by training, has also claimed to have entered the competition on a whim after hearing from a friend about a qualifying round in Moscow. That very same day, I boarded a plane and flew to the competition. Gadieva said, all right, a sore loser. that's what's going on here. The Ukrainian contestant is upset that she didn't win. So she is acting like a sore loser. Plain and simple. And she's upset that Russia won. All right, that's the video, everybody. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. 15% off all t-shirts. Take care.